It's one of the founding principles of the Transformers universe. Autobots turn into cars and trucks, but Decepticons fly. And throughout Transformers history, the villain's aerial superiority has always been best represented by the Decepticon jets, a seemingly endless air force of lookalike warriors who all share the same body design as their air commander, Starscream. These are the basics on the Seekers. The story of the Seekers begins in 1983 with the Japanese toy line Diaclone. One of the toys in this series was the Jet Robo, a robot that transformed into an F-15 Eagle jet fighter, which was available in two colour schemes: the grey super high-speed fighter type and the blue Acrobat type. Both these figures were imported by Hasbro to become Decepticons in the first year of the Transformers toy line in 1984, positioned as direct counterparts to the Autobots' ground-bound automotive forms. The grey one became Starscream, and the blue became Thundercracker, and they were joined by a third Hasbro original recolor of the figure, the black and purple Skywarp. Now, releasing the same toy in 3 different colour schemes helped Hasbro beef up the Decepticon ranks, but the villains were still significantly outnumbered by the Autobots. So, to compensate, the pilot miniseries for the Transformers cartoon continued the theme, padding out the Decepticon forces with a small army of nameless extra troops based on the Jet Robo, mostly in shades of blue and purple. These generic jets were dropped from the Decepticons' main forces after the miniseries, but a few more would appear back on Cybertron in a handful of later episodes, including a distinctive trio who attacked the Autobots with acid rain. Additionally, the jets were among the small number of characters in the show for whom a Cybertronian alternate mode was designed, a kind of tetrahedron-shaped alien aircraft, which further helped make them memorable to audiences. And as if the cartoon's expansion of the concept wasn't enough, the 1985 toy range introduced 3 more Decepticon jets based on the Diaclone toy: Ramjet, Dirge, and Thrust. This new trio were distinguished from the first-year jets by the addition of new wings and weapons, as well as brand new cartoon character designs that gave them all jet nose-cone helmets, earning them the fan nickname, the Coneheads. The toy line would continue to introduce new Decepticon planes with each passing year, keeping the core idea of Decepticon jets versus Autobot cars alive. But from 1986 onward, they began diversifying their forms to include brand new, futuristic alien aircraft. Still, between the 6 original toys and all the extras seen in the cartoon, none went down in history as being more popular or successful than the classic Jet Robo-inspired bots, leading to a few new toys, including Action Master figures of Starscream and Thundercracker, and recolors of Starscream and Ramjet's original toys in 1993's Generation 2. There were even plans to recolor this pair again to create 2 new characters for this series, Blackout and Sandstorm, but these toys were cancelled, and the whole concept wouldn't be revisited for nearly a decade. The idea of Decepticon jets that look alike was eventually revived by 2002's Transformers Armada, and from there it's gone from strength to strength, becoming a staple of the franchise in the 21st century, revisited in almost every major new series of the last 2 decades. The jet's precise design has varied greatly over the years, but whenever a new toy of one of them is released, whatever it looks like, it's a good bet that at some point, somewhere in the world, it'll be recolored to create more of them. No other Transformers toys are as widely and as regularly recolored into as many different characters as theirs. And it's not just the original 6 toy characters either. In addition to those classic bots, new series have both created their own brand new Decepticon jets, and also gone back to flesh out the generic characters seen in the original cartoon, giving them names and personalities, resulting in many significant additions to the Jets' ranks, including Sunstorm, Slipstream, Acid Storm, Nova Storm, and many more. Plus, new generic jets continue to appear, filling out the Decepticon ranks in comics, cartoons, movies. They make especially good hordes of nameless identical enemies in video games. The history of the group's name, on the other hand, isn't quite as straightforward. When online fandom began to come together in the 1990s, fans took to calling the Jets the Seekers, a name that emphasized their role as the Decepticons' airborne hunter-killers. But the funny thing was, nobody could explain where this name came from. It was never used in either the cartoon or the Marvel comic book, and the catalogues that came with the toys identified them only as the Decepticon planes. European sources, meanwhile, gave them names like Strike Planes and Sky Raiders, while in Japan they were called Jetrons. So for a long time, it was thought that Seeker was just something fans had made up, until it was eventually discovered in the early 2000s that it did have official origins. It had been used to refer to the Jets in some of the very earliest department store listings and print adverts for the toy line in 1984. Presumably that means it must have been coined by Hasbro very early on, but wound up being dropped from all the major marketing material, though exactly how it went from there to being widely used by early fandom is still a bit of a mystery. Regardless, thanks to its widespread use by fans, the term has since made the jump to official in-story use, beginning with the first issue of the Dreamwave Productions comic book The War Within in 2002. That said, media outside of comics was slower to adopt the term, and confusingly would at times even use it to refer to other groups and characters. For instance, the 2009 live-action movie Revenge of the Fallen used the name Seeker to refer to an entirely different type of Transformer from the distant past, servants of the ancient Dynasty of Primes, who used their built-in space bridges to search the galaxy for suns from which the Primes could harvest energy, and who unsuccessfully scoured prehistoric Earth for the lost Matrix of Leadership. In the 2010 novel, Transformers Exodus, Seeker was used as a name for members of Cybertron's Air Command in the days before the war. After the war broke out, the group split, with members joining both the Autobots and the Decepticons. Those who sided with the Autobots were renamed Aerialbots. This version of the group was made up of flying Transformers of all types, and thus they didn't all share their design with Starscream. As seen in the Transformers Prime cartoon, their ranks included Armada Captain Dreadwing and the Air Viacons, who each had distinct looks of their own. In the latter half of the 2010s, though, Transformers cartoons finally got with the program and started regularly using Seeker in its original context, as a name for lookalike Decepticon jets, beginning with 2018's Transformers Cyberverse. This series gave the Seekers a notably large role as a unit when they turned against Megatron to help Starscream acquire the power of the life-giving Allspark, only to be offlined when Starscream used his new power to remove their sparks. Now, Transformers who share body designs are perfectly common, with countless instances across the franchise's history that have no special meaning or story behind them. But the Seekers are on another level, and the fact that they are so numerous has occasionally led certain series to offer in-universe explanations for why there are so many of them, and why they all look alike. For example, in Dreamwave Productions comics, the huge numbers of generic Seekers beyond the original 6 were explained to be mass-produced drones created for Megatron by the alien Quintessons. In 2007's Transformers Animated, the Jets' resemblance to Starscream was justified by having them all be depicted as clones of him, each one representing a different aspect of his personality. IDW Publishing's comic books introduced the idea that it was a custom among the Seekers to have their bodies rebuilt to match their commander. Though, amusingly, in later years, it would be revealed that this custom had actually been begun by Starscream when he tricked Thundercracker and Skywarp into doing it so he could use them as body doubles to throw off the police when he was on the run for scamming money out of Cybertron's taxpayers. From their instantly recognizable design to the many classic characters counted among their ranks, the Decepticon jets are one of the most iconic parts of Transformers history. And while the Autobots might be kings of the road, thanks to the Seekers, the Decepticons will always be rulers of the sky. And those are the basics on the Seekers. Let me know your favourite Seeker design in the comments, or which one of them is your favourite. As ever, if you've enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, and if you can, support the show on Patreon as we continue the countdown to episode number 200.